Podcast. The end of everything. Podcast.
Wow, that brought a tear to my eye. That was... Whew!
What a way to start it off, eh?
That is very good. I mean, after only, 4 episodes, we bring that in.
I know.
What can't we do?
Production quality on the rise.
And actually, to boot, we've got a new microphone as well.
So you might be able to hear that A-class audio quality.
Yeah, and you probably won't hear the occasional plane that flies by.
We'll see.
That's yet to be tested. Welcome to episode 5 of The End of Everything, a weekly podcast where we explore the latest technology, trends, and the changes in this new digital age. And what are we looking at today, Ewan?
Is it privacy? Is that it?
Oh, you should know. But yes, it is privacy. So is this the end of privacy?
Yeah.
So we're going to explore this from a few different angles or a few different eras. First up, we're going to look at CCTV.
Yeah.
So like the sort of changes that happened over in the UK and like in particular London with that. And then kind of moving through the eras as we come into social media.
Yeah.
The latest hoo-ha with the Cambridge Analytica.
Yeah, I think that's where we drew the inspiration for this one, wasn't it? Was the old Great Hack on Netflix, which just came out.
Great film, apparently. Haven't seen it myself. And then finish with perhaps the new Neuralink.
Yeah. Well, I suppose that's sort of technology, isn't it? It's just how digital technology is becoming more and more a part of our, identity or everyday life, that sort of thing,
And stripping away our souls.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess we'll start off with the one from our childhood, I suppose, that we heard a lot about, which was CCTV.
Yeah.
Over in the UK, and
I suppose it's not. It's not just the UK. I suppose it's a global phenomenon, isn't it? It's supposed to prevent crime, and these cameras became cheaper or whatever. That it's like, oh, should we have a policeman or should we just put cameras everywhere?
Yep.
And there's a way easier way to just see what's going on, I suppose, isn't it?
But like that discussion, I always remember as a child was like the discussion of London.
Yeah.
The kind of case study for it is that like there are just cameras everywhere.
Yeah, like every hour you get photographed 100 times or whatever it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the amount of films that sort of came out around that. That's always an interesting way to measure that kind of thing, isn't it? It's just like, it's Big Brother, the idea that you're always being watched and like people can track you down and enhance your images.
Yeah, born identity styles.
Yeah, it's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess that was, that's I doubt that's where the discussion began, but that's a good reference point for us in that, people are starting to think really seriously about their privacy.
Yeah. And like, are they comfortable with just being, recorded and not having any say as to whether or not that they are, I suppose.
Yeah, and it's to be honest, I don't know when that would have popped up for the first time in history.
Yeah.
That idea of your privacy being stripped away. But this is a very, very tangible
example of that.
Example, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. I suppose it's interesting. Like, would you? I guess people of our generation, like, it doesn't bother you, right? I'm not bothered that I'm filmed everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
I suppose you just trust that footage or that security. It'd be interesting to see, like, what. Imagine you could just go and like Google your name and just see all the like footage of you.
See a stop motion video of you just walking
around to a shop, just doing like random shit.
Yeah.
But imagine how much there is out there.
It's and I think people all feel differently about it, But we've almost grown up with having less privacy, I suppose, than our parents. For example, and I feel. Yeah, I don't feel like it's stripping away my identity or infringing on anything in particular,
Yeah.
Having that being photographed every, part of my day, I don't know.
Yeah, and I guess another part of that is that, they always, or the state or the man or whatever you want to call it, like, it's always like, the reason we're doing this is for your security.
Yeah, so...
that's why we're putting all these cameras out there. It's not because we want to film you, it's because so we can catch the bad guys sort of thing. And I think that's a very similar argument to the reason that, whatever, the FBI want like backdoor access to all the iPhones and stuff like that. It's like, trust us, it's because we want to catch the bad guys, not so we can do, have access to all this data and do whatever we want with it.
that's almost the crux of it, isn't it? It's like who's in control of that information, that who's behind the CCTV cameras, and what are they doing with your information? I guess CCTV in control of your government.
I suppose in a shop, I guess, not a security man can look at you what you're doing, I guess, in public. But I suppose that's where the line draws is public versus private, and when you're in public, you're expected that you could be filmed.
Yep. And I suppose it changes a little bit when you're not actually aware that you're being tracked, or your data's being collected, or that there's some sort of private institution. Say there's the big scandal with China and their Huawei. Is it how pronounced?
Huawei.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know.
And how they're allegedly. Recording whatever you do and stuff like this, and it's the idea of a corporation doing that is a little bit different, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. The optics on it. Yeah, that was an interesting one. It's that. Yeah, they said the American government has been in doing embargoes or trade sanctions against Huawei to stop them encroaching on that market, because all the new 5G technology is being provided. Huawei is the only company that can provide it to a high level, basically. So all these countries are we're going to be 5G enabled by X year, and most of those estimations are relying on the fact that Huawei can provide that technology. So obviously, and especially America, but any government probably would be concerned about using an outside government's technology to be your infrastructure, because obviously if you're that's a big deal if someone could just turn off your 5G, or if people just turn off internet in New Zealand now, if you were invading them or whatever, or not, or just wanted to sabotage them. That's a pretty big crippling blow. But anyway, independent tests and studies were done on Huawei, and apparently they reckon that they had less backdoor access than Apple or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's all just perception and
and you just wonder how much the American government was just basically shaming their brand to try and.
It's just trade wars, I guess. Huawei's become really has boomed. It's just super successful because they're making awesome phones and technology at fractions of the price, and Apple. Whatever, American companies find it hard to compete, and obviously American customers are driving a lot of that success of Huawei because they're the ones buying all the phones, or a big market for it. So obviously if the American government can just make it way more expensive, then it obviously cripples their, it still feels a little bit like China is not under the thumb of, but their progression is driven a lot by American sales. It's all interesting, battle, not battle, but situation. I don't know, maybe.
That's a weird one, eh?
Yeah.
So perhaps this kind of takes us into social media.
Yeah.
So this was the next sort of privacy war that very much happened when we were, was it late teens? No, teenagers, I guess. And this idea that yet again your privacy is being stripped away from you.
Yeah, but voluntarily as well, right? You're uploading everything, and people are, vloggers and stuff are just streaming their lives.
Yeah.
And it's very a lot of personal stuff. Obviously it's of their free will, but it is. Yeah, it's a weird.
Well, and I think it was I guess a lot of the hesitancy around it came from the idea that people could Google you. So that if you were on Facebook, or you had some sort of profile and you put your information up there, then anyone could find you and link with you, and that was just kind of creepy.
Yeah.
Great that you could link up to an old friend from high school from 30 years ago.
Yeah.
But then but then the odd kid could also link with you. You're like, oh, no, I don't want him to find me.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So I guess the idea of putting yourself on the web, that you're opening yourself to being connected to by anyone, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's I wonder if people, back in the day, giving your phone number out, you kind of only give it to someone who's you trust or whatever. But obviously now, you can find information out about anyone real easy.
Yeah.
But I wonder if that's the perception has changed, or, again, like, do our generation, like, we don't really feel uncomfortable about that sort of stuff. But like, I wonder, like, if our parents' generation do, or it's a generational thing.
You get used to it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I thought I saw this great photo of it was like a meme, but it's just like all these grandmas on their iPhones just sitting in the mall, just like tapping away, and it's just like, oh, this generation and their technology, unbelievable.
Yeah.
But it's like you get used to it,
Yeah.
And like texting was the worst thing in the world. It's just like, oh, people don't use their language correctly, and like, no, this is just not the way to go forward. And then, of course, my grandma was a great texter. She used all the text language and super up with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you just naturally get used to it, and you get used to the idea that your information is online, and it just kind of settles down, right?
Yeah, or as part of your persona, whatever.
Just like everyone generally accepts that if you're going to get filmed everywhere in London, and it's not such a scary thing anymore.
I think that's another interesting thing. I think bringing back to that as well is like, imagine like, like celebrities when they're being like filmed, or like
paparazzi sort of thing.
Yeah, or not even just. Because obviously, like, everyone can be a paparazzi now because everyone's got a cell phone.
Sure.
But like, a lot of people, like, with these like police dash cams and stuff, like, they'll get them out and film people for evidence and that sort of stuff. But it is like, it's not illegal to follow someone around and just film them. But at the same time, it's really, it's weird. Like, it's weird to film someone without their permission, and like, I don't know if that's changed either over time. Like, that would make me. I don't really feel uncomfortable about like. Being filmed by a CCTV camera, but if someone were just like filming me walking down the street, like, that would be quite bizarre and like not nice.
No, you're absolutely right, and it's just someone could be the most confident person in front of a group of people, but as soon as you get the camera out, they're all of a sudden shy, or and cannot speak on camera for the life of them,
Yeah.
But yeah, you're totally right. It is almost that fear of being captured and for other people to view it forever and ever, or like that moment becomes eternal.
Yeah.
And that it can, if it was something embarrassing, that you could basically be living with it for the rest of your life.
Yeah, it's another thing as well. Like, people applying for jobs, or people said, "Oh, you should really clean up your Facebook profile because, you just have heaps of drunk photos of yourself on Facebook, and like a potential employer is going to be like, oh, this person gets drunk." But like, I think. I mean, for me, like, my Facebook is atrocious. Like,
oh, come on, man. Yeah, come on.
The amount of, like, my internet trail of just carnage. But, like, I'm not really...
your profile picture for a while was just you shirtless. And
yeah.
Yeah.
Great. I mean, I wasn't actually drunk, though. I was just...
I just looked drunk.
Yeah. That's another common...
It's just your face.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, like... But, I mean, I always said this thing of, like, screw them if they like don't, everyone gets, it's just like a ridiculous thing. And if I was to employ someone in the future, I wouldn't be like, oh, you were drunk there. But then maybe if they were doing something real bad, like, you'd be like, oh god, I don't want to, like, I don't know what.
Yeah.
I don't want to say, but you know what I mean? Like, smoking a crack pipe or something. Then maybe you're like, maybe not. So maybe just there's a line that I'm just like, and my line is a bit like lower than other people, I guess. Like, you always take people for their flaws, but you know what I mean? Like, I think there's a certain level of honesty that comes with it online. I mean, it depends, I guess.
Well, right?
There's honesty and dishonesty.
That's a real interesting thing too, because I mean, we're talking about privacy, like, you are putting your lives online.
Yeah.
But in a lot of cases, you're not.
Yeah.
You're putting your idealized self online.
Me drunk all the time.
Yeah, I mean,
when I was 18.
You're very honest, always, quite down to earth. So I mean, like, I'm the same. I have a very unsculpted Facebook. I get constant reminders of, anyway.
8 years ago today, you were shit-faced.
Dribbling down your shirt. Yeah, and it's a nice little reminder. But I mean, most people, I think, often put up their nice images and the ones of them on holiday and things like that. And in that regard, you're putting your your ultimate self out there. And there's no, you don't really feel bad about that. Like, sure, publicize that as much as you like. Really.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think. Yeah, I wonder if this goes back. So that film about the great hack, the Cambridge Analytica thing that's on Netflix. So it's really good. First, everyone should watch it, but it's also very makes you very uncomfortable because you do realize how much effect, or at least the way that this film portrayed it, how much effect the data had on the both the British Brexit vote and the American election. And obviously there's another American election next year, and it's like, oh man, like will this be even more crazy? And you know, Cambridge Analytica, it seems like in that documentary, like did some things which were illegal, but you know, data science at large, data science plus marketing is not really illegal at this current state. You know, so like if they had been a bit more careful, they could have really had, it seems like, similar effects with not being illegal. You know what I mean? So
it's a blurry line that there's no legislation around, right?
No, because it's just a new issue, and people like, it's where there's like, you know, 10 years ago or 5 years ago, it's like, oh, this is the digital world and this is the real world, and these things are like separate. But now, like, there's this mashing where like people, your online presence is like becomes like half of your identity, and like that's, you know, part privacy, part security. But it was, that documentary was just freaky. But I mean, it wasn't so much of a privacy issue, I think. I mean, it's a data issue, but they weren't like necessarily being like, this is the person. It was like, let's look at this mass of people and how we can manipulate this mass of people. Yeah. You know, as a like conglomerate rather than like, you know, like a hacker or someone who's like, let's get this person's information and then destroy them or like steal their money or whatever, which is maybe more of a privacy issue or like identity theft or that sort of stuff.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, taking a step back a little bit. So I guess this all happened with, as we were putting all the information on Facebook and entering it into all these different websites and things like this, all these companies such as Google, Facebook, Twitter were collecting our data.
Yeah. Are collecting our data.
Okay, they still are. Definitely still are.
That's the business. That's their business model. That's what they.
Well, yeah, that's exactly it, and that's a lot of thing that a lot of people don't realize. Like, you know, message is free. Like, there's all these free messaging apps and like this free service and stuff like that. Google is largely free. I mean, most of our business is run with Google apps and things like that. And I mean, you know, they're great. They're really good. You know, but what are we really paying for? And then the tagline of the great hack is that data has surpassed oil as the most valuable resource in the world. Yeah. So this is the kind of scary thing, is that all this time they've been collecting our data. And another little tagline of the film is, or how it kind of starts off, is like, you know, put your hand up if you feel at any point that an ad has been targeted at you.
Oh yeah, or like, was it even, it was like, just put your hand up if anyone feels like their microphone's been listening to them.
Yeah, the microphone. Yeah,
which exactly. Like is another thing which is like even more invasive. Like I think everyone knows that they're being targeted by ads constantly, but like it's more creepy, obviously, like you say, when you mention something and then you get an ad for it, you're like,
I don't know how I feel freaky. About that.
And you know, actually, as you do this podcast, we got an Alexa.
Yep.
And that just films and listens to you constantly. You know.
Oh god. So, it might try and release a podcast before we do.
Like imagine the data that Amazon has. Like it's next level to like. Surely it's going to be next level to Facebook, because it's like they're just recording you and you're paying them to do for the like privilege.
Yeah. You're paying them to just take your information. But I think like the really scary thing about this, and well, for me at least, is that it's actually reducing your personality, your likes, dislikes, hobbies down to a statistic.
Yeah.
To the point where you can actually be lumped in with 50,000 other people as someone who likes this, and you're this kind of person and you like this. And it's like, oh man, I'm just a stat. Like, I'm so predictable, you know?
Yeah, I think it's even more than that, actually, is like, I think everyone wants to feel like they have unique perceptions and ideas, and like you aren't, you know, a sum of your choices or something like that, you know, like free will or whatever. And like as this data, like as these companies begin to build better and better maps of what makes a human and what decisions like affect them, like you do, it's like you're like a lab rat in a way. Absolutely. You know, and it's like on that documentary again, it was like they were saying like Facebook is the perfect test ground, like 2 billion people are on there, and so like, you know, just to test ideas, and it's just like laws and numbers, like like 1 in 10,000 people or 1,000 people like might not follow the suit, but like chances are majority will. And that's what with these elections what happens, you know, like some people aren't going to be converted by this propaganda, but like if you can convert most of them, job done, you know.
But I mean, that was the amazing thing too, was the actual targeting of these people in the elections, right?
Yeah.
So they were basically able to isolate the groups, the swing voters.
Yeah.
So
I think they call them like the perceivable, I don't know, persuadables. That's it.
persuadables. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So like the people who are on the fence and it could go either way. And it's like, well, actually, instead of spending all our advertising on everyone,
Yeah.
let's just spend all our advertising on these guys because
Yeah.
these are the ones who are going to
Win the election. Yeah, they were saying that like the American election was decided by 70,000 voters. So,
70,000, like,
you know,
that's so few.
350 million people population. That's how close it was,
Yeah,
and it was like 70,000 people among 5 states or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was exactly that. It was the way that they could just sift through the whole population, analyze, of those. I mean, I have no idea how it's clever,
Yeah.
but how they analyze who among them are people who are potentially going to go either way,
Yeah.
and then convincing them. It's bizarre, but really pretty like clever, but scary. Yeah, and actually, there's a company, Cambridge Analytica, who did that. Like, started off. Was it in the military? So basically, they would like work with like the British Defence Agency and like or whatever, the American Army, to like convince Afghani boys not to become Taliban. With a similar techniques, basically.
Yeah, targeting those people, just say, don't join the Taliban,
Yeah.
these are evil, America is great.
And that's the thing about it as well, is like it's a super grey area where like I think a lot of people would say that's a good thing if you can use this data to like go in and convince people not to have wars with each other,
Sure.
or whatever. But that kind of level of mass manipulation it's super sketchy. And also like I think people is very quick to like blame a lot of like Mark Zuckerberg and all these people, but like, can you imagine that level of responsibility where you start a company 15 years ago in university, and now you're in charge of elections and free speech, and you're being peddled as. I mean, Facebook has received a lot of criticism about the like genocide in, was it Myanmar? I don't know, somewhere like that, and because they weren't like clamping down enough on this like hate speech that was going on, and like things like that, and you're just like. It's this bizarre thing where they just tried to make this platform which is going to bring everyone together and kumbaya, and you're just like, oh god, this has just turned into this like uncontrollable thing, and like you can't really blame those engineers because it's like, I'm sure they're trying their best. Like, I'm sure they're not nefariously trying to like destroy the world.
Well, that's it, yeah.
It's just like, how can you fix that?
No, and like the other interesting thing about it is that Mark Zuckerberg exactly starting in his dorm room or whatever it is at university with this idea of linking students together, to create sort of like a dating profile, network, etc. Yeah, and how could he be? There's obviously no big plan there. That I am going to get everyone's data in the world and sell it for millions. Like, it's obviously evolved over time.
Yeah.
It's a crazy thing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I guess that maybe takes us to the like, what's the future going to be?
Yeah.
And I think, an interesting part, basically the spoilers, the end part of the great hack, like the sort of solution that they kind of see is that like we make data a human right to your own data. So basically, like a company can't just sell it and use it and manipulate your data without your like explicit permission. So like a lot of companies have, I think Facebook did stuff after Cambridge Analytica, where it's like, oh, do you accept blah blah blah, whatever. Do you accept us using your data or not? I don't know exactly what happened, but basically greater things need to be put in place so people are like aware and educated about what they're actually signing up for.
Yep.
And being, if they want to, so you could say, oh yeah, pay me X amount of dollars, then yeah, sure, use my data and use that to help better advertise to people in the future.
Yep.
I just thought about it as well though. It's like, can't we just pay for, can't we just have our data back and pay for things? But maybe that's, obviously it's quite far down this route of people being used to getting things for free. But, like, I use YouTube a lot, I use Facebook a lot. What price would you pay to just be like, I'll pay you this much a month and then don't advertise to me and don't use my data? I think, would people pay for stuff? I don't know. I think probably they would, but like, obviously they've tried this model, like YouTube has YouTube Plus or whatever, and I don't pay for that. No. So maybe I wouldn't. Maybe I'm kidding myself.
Yeah. Very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be hard to say, and I guess people have tried it really, and
Yeah.
hasn't really worked.
It's bizarre. I mean, like Netflix or whatever, it's not really a social media platform though, to be fair. But you are paying them for it. But then they probably, they mine your data in a way, like they'll record what you watch.
Absolutely.
And then they
recommended videos.
And they advertise to you. So, I mean, it'd be hard to maybe make Netflix like control an election.
Maybe.
It's just like next, it's like all it is. It's just like Donald Trump is great.
Or just characters that look like Donald Trump. Like, I swear I've seen this guy before.
Yeah, like Game of Thrones. Jon Snow's just like Donald Trump's face on it. Oh, that'd be great.
So even far future than this, another one, your hero idol, Mr. Elon Musk. What's the latest project he's been working on?
Yeah, well, I mean, this Neuralnet thing. So I mean, it's not like he's there doing it all, but I think invested in this company. So his philosophy is that AI is going to basically make everyone redundant. So the only way to stop the AI Armageddon is to somehow like connect the human brain to computers, so that like you can have an AI and kind of work with it, and it be like a symbiosis. Yeah. So this is the far-flung idea, which whatever. I don't.
And to be clear, we haven't actually started talking about science fiction movies. This is real, and this does sound like an evil mastermind plan.
Yeah, and actually, if people should, if they're interested, go and watch it. Like he just recently had like a kind of update keynote thing, and it's about they're making these implants which you can plug into your brain, and what your thoughts basically turn into a computer. Reaction, I guess. I don't know what the best output.
The thing I read about it was Elon Musk has basically got all these experts together, like brain surgeons, and people who are experts in radio transmission, for example, blah blah blah. Got them all in a room, and they are all working to elevate human communication. Yeah. This is the idea that the way that we communicate using our mouths, using our brain to turn our thoughts into words, and then communicate those words out of our mouth. They then go in the ears of someone else, get broken down down into the raw ideas again, and sort of assimilated. Like, that is inefficient. I mean, it's been working well for the last few million years or whatever it is, but he's saying like how primitive that is. And really what you need to be doing is, instead of breaking down those thoughts and ideas into words, or building them into words, you should just be able to transmit those thoughts and be received by the person you're looking at, or not even looking at, from someone over the other side of the world.
And also, like, that extends to communicating with. I mean, I think a more vivid example as well is like, he always cites like the way that we can input a lot of data very quickly, because when you see things, you understand a lot very quickly, and there's a lot of data coming into your brain, but it's the output which we struggle with. So like when we're trying to code or like do anything with a computer, it's literally our thumbs and our fingers. That's it.
Yes.
So we can only have like output, like, whatever he says, like X amount of words a minute. But like, so if you could just like think to a computer, like, this is the kind of thing I want to do this, whatever, then the computer obviously just runs away with that and does it. So you can see how a lot of efficiency would come there. And it's actually not as far-flung as it seems. Like, you can already get things that you put on your head to control a mouse with like your brain activity.
Yeah, your neurons, And
like there's other ones where they've like managed to, plug into blind people's brain and like be able to like give a super pixelated image in their eye, but they actually don't have an eye, or they can't see. So they're somehow like, giving the thought of an image and they're just straight to their brain. And that this has been done in like whatever laboratories. So like, it is, the building blocks of it are there, but I mean, who knows how long it'll be until it's a thing. I mean, it's classic Elon Musk to be like, oh, next year, plug your head in, but like, who knows how hard this thing will be to do.
Next year we'll be entering the Matrix.
But to bring it back to like the privacy kind of thing, is that like, the trend is like, no matter what you say about whether or not we'll plug computers into us or not, like the trend is that we become more and more like bonded to our digital form of ourselves. So like
Yes.
these issues of like privacy and online security and everything is only going to increase.
Yeah.
You know, because there's no way that everyone's just like, oh, actually, no, let's just not do that digital thing anymore. You know, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, let's go back to analog.
You know, so I guess that is it. Really, it's like what's the solution?
Well, I guess I mean, so we've got these feelings of losing our identity to the masses with things like this Cambridge Analytica, like becoming more of a statistic, and then so much of our identity or our hobbies and who we are, put up on profiles on social media. Like you say, it's not going to get less. And I guess we're running the risk of being directly comparable with the global population as far as who we are and our identity. And I think that's a really interesting concept, is that you may be able to link up or really clearly identify how many people just like you are in the world.
You mean in the future or now?
In the future.
Yeah.
And what that would do, to realize that you are 0.05% different to this guy in Argentina, it's I guess it's an identity crisis.
I think like another really interesting thing is that like, with the whole becoming more digital in thoughts, because I mean like but the world being more digital has brought the world, I'd say closer together as a trend. I mean, people always go on about how people of different cultures can't coexist. Yeah. It's still just getting more conflict. I mean, I guess time will tell. I'm relatively optimistic. I think that generally the world is becoming more peaceful and people are better understanding people who are different to them. I think is a net trend. But like, if you could understand people's thoughts in a more direct way, like an empathy machine, you know what I mean? Like, how valuable would that be that people in like, we could like really understand how someone in, wherever, some impoverished part of the world feels and what they're going through. Like, that'd be a pretty powerful tool and really amazing to be able to do that. And like, obviously with film and sound and all the other, film is a great one, and you really can feel things better than you can through reading an essay about someone.
Yep.
But like, that's going to also get better, and like these VR experiences and all this stuff, like, there's so much immense like possibilities for great things to happen as well.
Oh, and like the most bizarre things as well, like being able to disseminate a film into thoughts and feelings, or whatever it might, sensations, or
just like living the film kind of.
I mean,
it's gonna make some real mint video games.
Going to be
and good. This again, it's so off topic, but like how good will it be when like VR and like this, whatever this is, like this kind of like becoming more symbiotic with a machine, like basically time travel, you know what I mean? Like Assassin's Creed or some shit like that, or like I'm playing Red Dead Redemption at the moment. Like, you just go straight back to like, just invent like you just go like Westworld or whatever. It'd be dope. Man, it'd be cool.
I mean, in theory, it's all your brain just perceiving what's around you. You just plug out the old body, boring, and like plug in a computer or some sort of simulation. Great.
So basically, what's going to happen is the Matrix.
Yeah, and it's just going to get better from here, really.
It's all going to be great unless you realise that you're in the Matrix. And this giant spider robot's trying to kill you.
Which you won't, because you'll be hacked. Cool. So, I mean, it's a little bit of an overview, but basically, is it the end of privacy? Yeah, almost.
Getting pretty close.
Getting pretty close to it. It's we're going to have to get used to it pretty quick.
Yeah, or like, I think like those things that as I said, people's right to their data, stuff like that. Would be great to see that sort of stuff happen. But
absolutely,
man, there's so many issues in the world, like shit.
Yeah, and there's a lot of legislation to catch up with everything that's happening.
Yeah, that was the thing as well. Like in the Congress hearings, here we go. In that Congress hearing in the Great Hack, like there's always congressmen who are like interviewing Mark Zuckerberg about what we should do or what he's done wrong. But like these congressmen do not understand anything about what is going on.
So it's like a typewriter, but plugged into something.
And so it's like, these people are supposed to be the bastions of like, like making the laws, especially even American like senators have a bigger impact on like us in New Zealand, because like what happens in America, as much as you like hate to see it, like really has a massive ripple effect over the world.
Absolutely.
And like so if they make laws, like we'll follow suit. whatever, arguably. But, you know, with like cannabis, that's been another example of that. I thought it was actually it's pretty interesting. Like, 'cause that's a recent change.
Yeah.
And like, as soon as America starts doing it, it just is like, boom, cannabis is normal now. Like, New Zealand's going to legalize it soon.
Yep.
It's pretty amazing. So same with these sort of rules, like, you know, whatever they do to these tech companies, break them up, limit their control, like, it's going to have a massive effect on us. So you just got to hope that America do a good job on that one.
Yes.
But I trust that they, you know, who knows? I don't know. We'll see.
All right, well, that's probably a good place to leave it. Hope you all have a lovely rest of your day.
And enjoy this sweet sound quality.
Oh, yes. Hopefully Ewan might have another little jingle ready for you next week.
Yeah, if you're lucky.
Whew, you tease. All right, see you later.